Smith.
Here.
Mr. Wright.
Here. We could stand for the invocation. Mr. Reed, please, for the pledge.
Please join me in a moment of silence for the fallen officers in Dallas, Texas, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and their families. Lord, in the midst of so much tragedy in our world today, we remain grateful to you for our blessings. We pray that you would keep us strong, faithful, and determined in continuing on with our plan, with the plan that you have for each of us in our lives. And that the evil acts of this world make us even more resolved to let our light shine in the darkness and make a difference in the world. We place in your care and protection all of our first responders. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Each of you received a copy of the July 5th, 2016 record meeting and July 4th work session.
I'll move that all accept the amendments to be approved as presented without reading.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Resolution 54-3016, Mr. Walker.
This resolution awards bid number 2-16-1C for the Hoover Sportsplex General Works Package to MJ Harris Construction.
Wait a second. We're on resolution
I'm sorry.
54-3016.
Excuse me, Mr. President. I'm sorry, 54-3016, my apologies. This resolution awards bid number 216-1D for the Hoover RV lot expansion package to CS Beatty Construction to increase the size of the RV lot to accommodate approximately 170 spaces for RVs. So 5 contractors bid on the project. CS Beatty's bid of $3,884,565 was the lowest responsible bid, meeting all specifications requirement. The resolution authorizes the mayor to execute a contract with CS Beatty for the work to be performed.
Mr. President, I will move to approve resolution 54-30-16.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion from the council?
Mr. President, how many total spaces again are we looking at? Adding,
170.
say again,
170.
170 total. How many are there now?
I don't know the answer to that.
Steve,
Sir.
can you answer those questions?
The expansion would roughly replace the RV spots taken up by the new building, and maybe add 5 or 6 to that. So be generally the same amount as you had prior to this year's SEC.
The spaces that are there now, will they remain?
Yes. Yes.
I thought we were.
Well, yeah,
No, that's not correct.
When all is said and done, we will have increased from approximately 143 spaces to 172 spaces. We destroyed a total of about 40 spaces for the new construction we're going. Now, in each space, it's an island, and, you know, motorhome parks on each side of it. So you did away approximately 80 spaces, but 40 islands, so to speak. So, in numbers of RV spaces, you're adding back, you're gaining about 35, so you're probably building a total of about 100 overall. And I could confirm those numbers, but it's close.
So the price of each space will be what, approximately?
Well, there's more to it than just the spaces. There's parking lots and other things that's a part of the scope of the agreement. So I haven't tried to calculate it for space.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Payton,
what is the big expense in expanding, the RV park? You know, just putting asphalt down and adding spaces is not very expensive. What is the big expense that brings up to?
Probably the biggest expense is the grading. Where the RV park is going is south of the existing RV park, and as you can see, there's a pretty good ravine there. Now, there is a bit of work in constructing a space in that you have power, you have sewer, and you have water to each space. So, and then the parking lot is not just a parking lot that you would construct for automobiles. The parking is beefed up because you have heavy vehicles parking on it. Those motorhomes are a lot like a 18-wheeler or heavy truck, they have a lot of weight. So it's more than just a parking lot. And then when you include the hookups, include water, sewer, and the other stuff, and then the extensive amount of grading that has to be done. And then there is a good bit of parking in that package also.
Additional questions from the council? Any from the audience? Yes, Mr. Singer, if you come up.
Arnold Singer, 613 Riverhaven Place. At Thursday's work session, I heard a couple of words I haven't heard in decades. And it's words that make me feel that SFM is the right company for us. And those two words were value engineering. It's something that I was exposed to when I was going through the management development program at the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
You know, we're on the RV lot.
Now, I understand we're on the RV lot, okay? If there was ever a case for value engineering, it would be the horrendous payoff, break-even point that we would have with the revenues that we get from the RV lot. Personally, if we have people who are contracted to pay the license fee for use of the RV spaces for the SEC baseball tournament, I think we would be better off giving them their own private Uber driver and luxury hotel space, as opposed to spending $3,884,000 for this RV parking area. I would strongly suggest that, similar to the general works package, that we continue this particular project and have SFM take a look at it from a value engineering point of view and see what their recommendations are. This is not monopoly money that we're playing with, okay? This is more than we're giving the Board of Education this current year and double what we've given the Board of Education last year for parking spaces that are hardly ever used. Thank you.
Additional comments from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 543116, Mr. Walker.
This resolution awards bid number 19-16 Hoover Public Safety Center re-roofing project to Tecta America Southeast. Three contractors bid on the project. Tecta America Southeast bid of $1,040,000. Was the lowest responsible bid, meeting all specifications and requirements. The resolution also authorizes the mayor to execute a contract with Tecta America Southeast for the work to be performed.
Mr. President, I move for approval resolution 5431-16.
A motion second, any discussion from the council?
Mr. President, Ben, I want to thank you for the response that you gave me on the questions I had Thursday night. Thank you.
Any discussion from the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
second. Resolution 543216, Mr. Walker.
This resolution awards bid number 02-16-1C for Hoover Sportsplex General Works Package to M.J. Harris Construction Services. Two contractors bid on the project. M.J. Harris bid $22,109,449, was the lowest responsible bid, meeting all specifications. The resolution also authorizes the mayor to execute a contract with M.J. Harris for the work to be performed.
I need a motion to continue this for 2 weeks.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, I'd like to move to continue resolution 5432-16 to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's continued. Resolution 543316, Mr. Walker.
This resolution rejects the bid of Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus relating to bid number 21-16 for repainting of the Grumman Aerial Platform Fire Truck Project. Bid notices were mailed to 4 vendors as listed on the City of Hoover vendor list, and the invitation to bid was also posted on the City of Hoover website. Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus bid of $24,875 was the only bid received. The resolution authorizes the mayor to negotiate a price with such bidder for the services to be performed at a price not to exceed the bid quoted.
Mr. President, I would move for approval, resolution 5433-16, with the caveat that it be rejected and the mayor being able to renegotiate not to exceed the bid price provided.
Second. A motion is second. Any discussion from the council? Any from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 543416, Mr. Walker.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement for a bicycle and pedestrian plan for the state of Alabama.
Mr. President, I would move for approval, resolution 5434-16.
Second. Have a motion is second. Discussion from the council.
Just go ahead, John. Hey, was this an 80-20 project?
Yes, sir. It's 80-20, $250,000, $50,000 from the city, $200,000 from the state.
This is for the city of Hoover, right, Mr. Walker?
That's correct.
Mr. Westover, this was part of an overall plan that was last updated when?
The last master plan that we had was from 1999.
Was that a master plan that was adopted by the council, or was it just there for reference?
I believe it was adopted by the council.
Thank you.
Additional comments, questions from the council? Any from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 543516, Mr. Walker.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Sports Facilities Management, LLC, to provide management and operation services to the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium and the Hoover Sports and Event Facility.
Mr. President, I would move for approval, resolution 5435-16.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council?
Yes, Mr. President, Mayor, when the $70 million was requested to build a sportsplex, one of the reasons that I voted no was because I didn't believe the citizens or the council were given sufficient time to consider such a large project. When the extra $10 million was requested, I also voted no, because again, the citizens of the council were rushed to make a decision due to the timing of purchasing of the bonds. Now, time is again of the essence, and the citizens and the council have been given only one choice regarding what management team will lead this project. Needless to say, I don't like it, but we are where we are now, and there's no turning back. At this point, I believe the citizens and the council must totally commit to work as hard as possible to make the sportsplex a success, and that's what I plan to do.
Mr. President, I was provided the name of another company today, and I contacted that company, SGN World in Pennsylvania. They apparently operate mainly large venue facilities, NFL stadiums down to AA minor league stadiums. spoke to the vice president in charge of operations. I think his first name was Harry. I don't remember his last name, but he knows Deb that working and helping stand SFM up. And he says that for the purposes that we talked about, that there could not be another better partner than SFM. And that was unsolicited from him. He made that statement on his own.
Additional comments from the council?
Mr. President, I apologize for having to leave last Thursday at the working session, so I wasn't able to ask any questions, but, Ms. Cobalt, we had a discussion a couple of weeks ago, and I asked you about the due diligence as far as calling out and asking for other companies that did this type of work. What were your results from that due diligence?
Yes, sir. We've, several of the staff members and I have been working on this item for quite some time, and we could not find anybody that did exactly what SFM does. There are a multitude of companies that do feasibility studies, different financial forecasts, I would say, but nobody takes it the extra step that SFM staff does in actually backing those numbers up with the management of the daily operations.
Did you have any of your contacts say anything, in your opinion, detrimental to SFM?
No, they did not.
Additional comments from the council?
Mr. President, I still have some questions. Mr. Pate?
Yes, sir.
Under the proposed contract, under miscellaneous relationship, it basically says that the manager, whoever SFM has as their manager, cannot be hired to do business for anyone else, any other city within a 100-mile radius of this facility. Why was 100 miles chosen rather than 150 miles or 125 miles?
Well,
Because 100 miles does not include Columbus, Georgia, does not include Chattanooga, but it does include, as I understand it, Huntsville, Montgomery, does not include Atlanta, does not include Jackson, Mississippi.
and we saw the ones you mentioned, I guess, as our major competitor. And my guess is if we wanted to extend that by another 50 miles or another 100 miles, it probably would not be a problem with SFM. Some of the other staff has been dealing with the details of this contract. They may have a better answer than I do, but I can't imagine it being a problem if you wanted to extend it maybe further.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President,
Admiral, if I could interrupt you for just a second.
yes, sir.
As late as this afternoon, we were still working on some changes to that contract, and that mileage limitation was one of the things that we agreed to change. Instead of 100 miles, it's now 25 miles.
25 miles.
Yes, sir. That is the, and I think Jason can speak to this, none of their other agreements have any mileage limitation on them. We had asked for 100, they wanted 0, and we settled on 25. So that minor change was made to the agreement.
So that means that Montgomery wants one of these, and they put it up, that's fine. Huntsville wants it, they put it up, and it competes against what we have.
Well,
Mr. President, I'll remove my motion.
With our manager.
yeah, if you would.
We've never put a competitive radius around our management epicenter before, and the reason for that is that it's actually beneficial to all parties to provide the opportunity for us to look at those management deals, and here's the reason why. It's because if Montgomery, as that example, wanted to develop a complex like this, more than likely, then they would be able to come to us. And if it was not feasible at all, we would be able to tell them there's no market for this. On the flip side, if we were prohibited from being able to have a conversation with them, and this has happened in South Carolina, exactly, where we managed Spartanburg, South Carolina, as well as Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Columbia came to us and said, we want to open up one of these. And we were able to say, it's not feasible. It would detract from both of these other locations. And it's to our benefit to make sure that Hoover, obviously, is successful. If it's not successful, we don't have an agreement, and there are out clauses in this agreement if we don't perform. So we have no motivation to take on additional work that wouldn't be successful for the city of Hoover or any other location. And it was my understanding that the primary reason for developing this complex was to provide an amenity to the local residents of Hoover. And for that reason, we agreed that we would draw the radius in this particular example so that, as an example, Vestavia and up into that area, as well as 25 miles in terms of a radius, wouldn't be able to compete with the attraction of this nature.
But Gardendale could.
Where is Gardendale?
North Jefferson County. Sir, we had extensive conversations on Thursday.
Mhm.
Not once did you bring this up. Not once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of that I've taken my motion off the table.
Okay. It's something we've never done before, but we are willing to do that on your behalf for the city of
Apparently
Hoover.
willing to do it Thursday.
I wasn't aware that provision was in the agreement on Thursday,
You had
sir.
not read the agreement that you were wanting us to abide by.
I wasn't provided the revisions to the agreement. I had provided the agreement to your team, and the revisions came back after I was standing here on Thursday. So I apologize if I didn't mean to mislead anybody. I hadn't seen the proposed change to the agreement that put the 100 miles in.
The 100 miles basically deletes Huntsville and Montgomery, who would be real competitors in this. And as a council member, I'm looking at this as a destination
Yes, sir.
facility rather than just servicing the citizens of Hoover. It's going to have to be a destination facility to survive.
Yes, sir.
And even though you haven't done it, doesn't mean you can't do it. And it doesn't mean it's not good for your company. The way I read this is that you cannot be hired to run a facility in those cities within 100 miles. It doesn't say you can't consult with them. I would like you to consider that.
Well, given that distinction, should you choose to move forward with us, I'd be willing to put that language in the agreement.
I get another motion. That happens.
The 100 miles stays in the agreement.
For management purposes, that's right.
It just basically says they cannot be hired to do the managing facility in any facility within 100 miles.
What I would request for future councils then is that should somebody approach us, that we could bring that to the council as an exception in the event that it would benefit all involved.
You can always ask for a separate exception for change.
It's true. We can get part of those fees. With that reinstated, Mr. President, I reestablish my motion.
Reestablish the second.
The second.
Motion second. Any discussion further discussion from the council?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but, I do have questions.
I'll stay here.
And I'm sure Mr. Smith got into this, I just was not here yet. But as far as reimbursement of the employees that you would hire, how do we check on the number of employees rather than just giving you a blank check to hire employees without any say-so from the council?
The annual plan that we're required to submit every year will include an organizational structure that goes along with the number in terms of payroll that the council would see, or whomever the approval authority would be. So you would see the org structure, the positions, as well as the total amount when you approve the budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions from the council?
Mr. President, I just have one comment on it. The last couple of weeks, there was a lot in the newspaper about the Scrushy Center being closed, being bought, and not being an arena for gatherings, conventions, and things of this nature. It's my understanding that this facility, if and when completed, we could have dinners for 2,500 individuals. That was not even mentioned in the newspapers, but it would be a good destination and would be actually a replacement for the Scrushy Convention Center for crowds of 2,500 or more. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
one last question. Is there anything else in agreements that y'all are not in agreements to that we have not talked about?
No,
That has been removed, that has not been verbally brought up?
I don't believe so from this afternoon's conversation. No.
From what I saw, that most of that was just term re-identification and housing type language. Okay. Thank you.
Any comments in the audience? Yes.
On Sunday, 613 Riverhaven Place, I think based upon my examination, using the internet as a tool, I was not able to find any organizations that covered the kind of sports situations that we have here locally. But I do have a couple of questions. Okay. First of all, why did things change from a 3-year contract, which is what was discussed 2 weeks ago, to a 5-year contract?
It's gonna take 1 year to even have the building and 2 years to even have the field.
We hire a school superintendent for 3 years. We don't hire a school superintendent for 5 years. I think a 3-year contract with additional options is the way to go. Don't put us I'm sure that they will deliver what they say they're going to deliver, but the whole reason for contracts is in case something does happen. And I think it would be very prudent to return to a 3-year contract with 2 1-year options, bringing it to a total of 5 years. And I would very, very strongly suggest that.
Mr. President, if I could say, Mr. Singer, there is a termination clause in there that would allow either party to terminate the agreement with 120 days notice.
But still, why 5 years instead of the 3 years that was brought up by SFM? That's what my question is. My next thing is, does this contract include the tennis center?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the impact on our current Parks and Recreation Edge tennis program? Has that been explored?
This facility will be totally in a different league compared to the rest of the city's park and rec tennis courts.
Now, my last thing is to me extremely important. The kind of questions that were asked by the Admiral and by Gene Smith are the very reason why the City Council should be a committee of the whole with regard to the sports complex. I believe that Parks and Recreation should be representing the athletes and the leagues of Hoover, and they do a darn good job of that. But I think the kind of expertise that that the city council brings is a reason to have the council as the committee of the whole with regard to the sportsplex and the Hoover Met. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Singer, were you here Thursday?
Absolutely.
Okay, if you'll remember, I had concerns about that as well, because in the definition I asked, and I think Mr. Leiter may have assisted with it, is the definition of the city. Is it the mayor's and the council, is it the park and rec board? And we were told by city attorneys that it was the city council was the operating authority to be able to sign the annual obligation agreements, or operating agreements, or any other contractual obligations that the city would become part of.
But the same way that the council can have periodic meetings of the education committee, can have periodic meetings of the annexation committee, by specifically saying, we are the people who are responsible to the citizens. We were elected, and so we are the ones who have to protect the investment that we're making. And that's why I would very strongly suggest that that be the case here.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion from the audience? Clerk, will call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Leiter?
Aye.
Admiral Matter?
Aye.
Mr. Reeves?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. Congratulations to the management team. Mr. Walter, we have 4 resolutions under point 12, if you take them in unison.
Thirty-six, 37, 38. Okay, resolutions 36, 37, and 38, 54, 36 -16 is authorizing the mayor to execute a letter of authorization and special service agreement with the Waterworks Board, the city of Birmingham, to provide fire protection for the Hoover Sports and Event Facility. 37 authorizes the mayor to do an extension of Maine's agreement and a right-of-way agreement with the Waterworks Board for the RV trace that serves the sports and event facility. 38 authorizes the mayor to execute a right-of-way deed to the city of Birmingham Waterworks Board for the extension of a water main for the RV trace that serves the Hoover Sports and Event Facility.
Mr. President, I would move for approval of resolutions 5436-16, 5437-16, and 5438-16.
Second. By motion, second, any discussion from the council? Any from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Turn to order. Resolution 5439-16, Mr. Walker.
This resolution also deals with a right-of-way deed from U.S. Steel for the right-of-way on Stadium Place Parkway. Authorizes the mayor to accept that all right-of-way.
Mr. President, I would move for approval of resolution 5439-16.
Second. Motion is second, any discussion from the council? The audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution 5440-16, Mr. Walker.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute a deed of exchange between the city and Jefferson County Commission dedicating a new sanitary sewer easement in favor of Jefferson County, replacing the old easement by moving the deeded land approximately 3 feet at Fire Station Number 2.
Mr. President, I would move for approval of resolution 5440-16.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion from the council? Any from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
15, need a motion for an ABC application for Tags LLC doing business as Bumpers Billiards located 2132 Lorna Reeves Lane to allow the sale of lounge retail liquor class 1s, change in ownership.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the application.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Any from the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's approved. Motion to approve ABC application for Boardro's Food LLC doing business as Swamp Monster Barbecue located 1843 Montgomery Highway, Suite 105, to allow sale of 20 restaurant retail liquor. This is a new business, previously approved location.
Can't think of anything that sounds better than Swamp Monster, so I'll move for approval of the application.
Second. Motion and a second. We go there one day. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Any from the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Approved. First reading ordinance 162310, Mr. Walter.
This ordinance would alter, amend, rearrange, and extend the corporate limits of the city to embrace and include all territory now within such corporate limits, and would also include the properties that are described as 3425 Laurel Lane and 3546 William and Mary Road, which are contiguous to the city.
Okay, public hearing, consider request of Brandon Jensen, Rockwell Hoover LLC for conditional use approval for an event center for social and corporate events, live entertainment, and Noah's Event Center to be located at 2505 International Park. Rockwell Hoover LLC is a property owner, property zone PO, planned office. Any comments from the council?
Mr. President, I'm just glad to see some new buildings going up over in this section.
Anybody like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Mr. President, I need to make a motion.
Said I need a motion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the following conditions that were handed down from planning and zoning. Number one, that amplified music be prohibited outside the building. And number two, that amplified music, which is audible off the premises but performed inside, would only be between the hours of 10 a.m. and midnight, 7 days a week.
Motion second now, any discussion from the council? Any more from the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's approved. Public hearing, consider the request of City of Hoover to rezone recently annexed property at 1833 Burning Trees Circle owned by Robert, Margaret, and Hattie, Jefferson County R1 to Hoover R1 single family residential.
Mr. President, I would move for adoption of ordinance 16-2308.
We need to read that, Mr. Walter. Any more?
No, sir, that's adequate reflects for a second reading.
Discussion from the council? Discussion from the audience? Clerk, call the roll.
Do we have a second? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I don't think we do.
Second, Mr. Natter, second, Admiral Natter, second.
Mr. Brayton?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
Admiral Natter?
Aye.
Mr. Reeves?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. Second reading passes. We have a second reading ordinance 162309, Mr. Walter, reference food trucks.
This is the second reading of an ordinance that provides for and regulates mobile food units within the city of Hoover.
Mr. Lyda, this is your baby.
Mr. President, I would move for adoption of ordinance 16-2309.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion from the council?
Mr. Lyda, will this allow Gator Barbecue and a mobile truck?
If they get a business license and a permit, they can have at it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion from the audience? Clerk, would call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
Admiral Natter?
Aye.
Mr. Reeves?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye. We have a food truck.
Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Lyda on the effort that he placed into this. I know it took him a little while.
We'll refer to this as Lyda 101.
Gotta be known for something, I guess.
We'll be looking for 102 in the future. We set public hearings for Monday, August 15th. Fred's Store requesting conditional use for sale of retail beer off premises, retail table wine, to their store located at 3317 Water Road. This property is owned by Fred's Store in Tennessee. It's owned by the community. Mr. Ben Tambrellas requesting conditional use for the sale of restaurant retail liquor at Chichi Pizzeria located at 610 Reserve Parkway, Suite 100. This property is owned by Reserve Valley Development. Mr. George Ryder, Water Show Engineering is requesting the property located at the corner of Copper Valley Road and the south side of Greystone Lake to rezone from NC to C2 Community Business District. This property is owned by EBSCO. We had the first reading of that tonight, Mr. Water. We're putting that off to the hearing.
I think that's adequate.
Okay. Payment of bills, Mr. Smith.
Mr. President, I reviewed the bills and recommend they be paid in full as presented.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion from the council? In the audience, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please pay the bill, Mr. Jacob. Comments and questions from the council? Yes, sir. Here from our Board of Education.
Stephen Presley, 2401 Meadowlark Drive. Mr. President, members of the council, Mayor Ivy, on behalf of the school board and our superintendent, Dr. Kathy Murphy, I'd like to extend to you an invitation to join us tomorrow night at our normal school board meeting as we begin our discussion for our budget for year 16-17. Tomorrow night we'll be talking about local funding and millage and all kinds of fun stuff that's very riveting, and I'm sure you would love to be there to join us. Our second part of the budget hearing, leading up to the budget hearing, will be our next board meeting, which will be August the 7th. And we'd like to extend an invitation for you guys to join us at that time as well.
I
Thank you.
don't think we've ever been invited quite that nice.
Consider yourself invited.
Thank you,
sir.
Steve.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could also recognize Mr. Presley's fellow board members, Craig Kelly and Deanna Bauman. Great to have you in the chambers as well.
Additional comments from the council? I'd also like to announce that I will not be going for my 30-year employee gin for the city. I have no plans to qualify tomorrow. I've been 29 years between the industrial board and the council. It's been quite a pleasure, and I thank you. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
That's okay.